Before today, we taught backstepping without any disturbance. Now, we want to add disturbance into the system. And here's D1, D2, D3. Okay? And each disturbance can be upper bounded by some constant and some functions. So for example, D1 can be, the norm of D1 can be upper bounded by a positive constant and a constant times norm of x1, and same as D2. And D3 can be upper bounded by a constant. The states x1 to x3 are measurable. You can use that in the controller for sure. And theta 1 to theta 3 should okay, forget theta 1 to theta 3. So all states are measurable. U is the control input. Okay, and the D1 to D3 are disturbances that can be upper bounded by constant and constant times states. So objective is just for regulation, for x1 to be regulated, which means it goes to 0 as t goes to infinity. So we want to use backstepping as well as robust control. In here, backstepping is just control structure, and robust control is the way to suppress the disturbances, D1 to D3. So system 1. So same as before in backstepping approach, we add, so here x1 dot equal to D1 plus x2. And x2 is the, you can consider as the control of the first system. So we add and subtract x2d, where x2d is the virtual control, right? And that can be rewrite into this form, okay? Into this form, okay? And eta 1 is the difference between x2 and x2d, okay? And in here, x2d is the virtual control input. So how will you design the virtual control input? 1. And remember, different from the previous design, here we have disturbance D1, right? And that's the difference. So not only you need to put a feedback term in the virtual control, which is minus k x1, you also need to put other high gain terms. Here, robust means high gain, so we use a high gain feedback control here and here to suppress the disturbances. And here, you might also use high frequency approach, okay? But if you use high frequency approach, there will be some problems, okay? Some problems, and they will be mentioned later, okay? Or you can use high frequency in your virtual control, because later in the second system, you need to put x2d in your virtual control, and you need to put x1d x2d. You need to put x2d. You need to cancel out this x2d. So in the second system, x3d is the virtual control input, right? And you need, in x3d, you need to cancel out this feedforward term and create some feedback term. And so to cancel out this x2d dot, you need to put x2d dot in your virtual control. And if x2d, which is the virtual control of the previous system, right? If you design x2d as sine function, the time derivative of x2d won't exist you design virtual control for the second system with feedback terms, okay, and some term which is to cancel out this x to d, right? So you put x to d dots, right? But what is x to d dot? It's from first system, right? So in the first system, it's the x to d dot is the time derivative of the virtual control 1, right? And here we say you can design x to d as high gain or second option with high frequency. If you design with high frequency, right? What's the time derivative of sine function? Is sine function continuous? No, it's not continuous. So the time derivative doesn't exist. So you cannot design high frequency, especially in backstepping. In system 1, this is the only option for the virtual control is high gain. So substitute this virtual control input x to d into the open loop dynamics. Okay, substitute x to d in here, you get the closed loop error system 1. And it's not clear how this can be a stable system. Okay, until you do the Lyapunov function analysis. For system 1, we choose a Lyapunov function v1. Okay, which is 1/2 x1 squared, and you take the time derivative, substitute the open loop dynamics, closed loop dynamics, which is x to d, and you substitute x to d in here, you got this. So let's do it step by step. In here, eta 1 is the error signal. Eta 1 is x2 minus x to d, your open loop dynamics is x1 d dot d1 eta 1 x2 d. Okay. Virtual control. One. X2 d equal to minus k1 x1 minus kn1 d1n square x1 minus kn2 d1bx1. Okay. So when you take the time derivative, okay, you have x1 dot, you substitute this open loop dynamics. And in here, this first term x1 d1 can be upper bound. D1, because d1 is unknown. D1 is disturbance. Disturbance is unknown. So we need to upper bound the unknown terms. So the way is we put absolute value on the product, okay? And for the rest, it's just the same. Then you can do d1 x1 can be upper bounded by, the product can be upper bounded by its absolute value. And you use, this can be further upper bounded by this, right? Next, this guy can be upper bounded. Remember that we say D1 can be upper bounded by a constant plus D1bx, no, right? In the first page. Right? This disturbance can be upper bounded by a constant time plus some constant times the x1 no, right? So you substitute the upper bound. D1b, which okay, and this becomes the orange terms. Okay, remember this upper bound, right? From the system here, right? Okay, and x2d is the controller that we just designed here. Okay, virtual control. So you substitute into here. Then you need to regroup in terms. So now you just divide it into two big groups. One is good terms, one is bad terms, right? So for x1 squares, it's good, minus k x1 squares is good terms, right? So it's good terms because here's x1, here's another x1, and minus sign, right? All these are good terms, okay? And what are bad terms? This is bad terms, right? And these bad terms can be combined with the good terms because you have x1 squared, you just put the coefficient together. And this one is another good terms. And this one can be cross terms, so we just keep the same terms. You don't need to do the upper bound, okay? And another bad term is this orange term, right? And that can be taken away by doing complete squares, okay, using some good terms. So this term is sacrificed to do the complete square with these bad terms, okay? And that's why we create three different feedback terms, but have different purpose, right? But the spirit is the same, in just feedback terms. Yeah. So the first good terms is here to create negative definite of v1 dot, right? Second one is here to do the complete squares, which take care of the disturbance terms. And the third good term is also deal with the disturbance terms, right? They're coming from the upper bound of the disturbances. Okay. 听懂吗? And this is cross term, so we don't do anything about it. And because by selection the k gain larger enough, as long as it's greater than 0, it can drop it because it's minus. It can be upper bounded by 0, so we can drop it. Okay. So only this term and this term and this term, 3 terms left. 这样没问题. So it's just general high gain approach, right? So second system. So following the same procedure, so the objective for second system is we want eta 1 to be 0, right? Because eta 1 is designed to be the tracking signal for x2 to track x2d, right? So that in the second system, the objective is for eta 1 goes to 0. Objective for system 1 is x1 goes to 0. Okay. Okay. And now we create another eta 2, which is the mismatch of x3 and x3d. Okay. So virtual control 2 is designed as this. Okay, again, feedback terms, high gain terms. Okay, high gain term. Here we put eta 1. Okay, in system 1 is x1, but here is eta 1 because we are doing tracking control for eta 1 goes to 0. And x1 is cross terms, to create cross terms, to cancel out with the cross term in another systems. And omega 1 is the nonlinear terms. Okay, and it's a bit complex. It's a bit complicated. So we will see. So it's this. Okay. And you will see why omega 1 equal to this in a few minutes. Okay. So objective is to design virtual control for eta 1 goes to the 0 or bounded. And the closed error system is you substitute control into this open loop dynamics. Okay. So here we haven't substituted the virtual control input yet. Okay, and S2D dot. Remember that S2D is the virtual control on the previous system. And here we take the time derivative, and that's required in the virtual control input too. Okay, because you want to do feed forwards. Okay. So again, we create a label function v2, okay, and it's 1/2 eta 1 squared. Okay, you take the time derivative, substitute the open loop dynamics, and next, again, we upper bound these disturbance terms by we upper bound eta 1 d2 by the absolute value of its product, right? And then you can substitute the upper bound of D2, which is this, okay, D2A, D2B times X1 norm, okay. And here remains the same, and here we substitute the controllers, okay. We substitute the virtual control. Next, regrouping terms, okay. Well, next, is not a regrouping term. Next, we substitute x1 dot, and x1 dot is either this is the open loop dynamics of system 1, right? Okay. And remember, which is equal to d1x2. Okay, you combine these two is d2. You combine these two, it becomes x2. Okay. So what's next? Regrouping terms. What is measurable? Is eta 1 measurable? 是吗? x1, x2, x3 are measurable, right? And eta 1 is a measurable term minus some virtual control, which had to be known, right? So eta 1 is measurable. So this one can be measurable. Okay. And x1, x2 are measurable. So okay, so eta 1 is the variable. Okay, fine. This is a constant. Okay, and okay, it's x1 measurable, right? Measurable. So measurable, and d1 is unknown. D1 is the disturbance, so we need to further upper bound x1, further upper bound d1. Okay, So we upper bound D1, eta 1 D1 by the absolute value of its product. Okay? Eta, so with these two is coming from the last term in the previous equation. Okay? Eta 1 D1 is upper bounded by this, and eta 1 times x times x2, and in this bracket is in here. Okay. If you have if you have unknowns or disturbance, you need to upper bound it. Otherwise, you just take the product. Okay. Next, you regroup in terms. Okay. Next, you regroup in terms. Okay, not yet. So this step is the objective is we expand D1, we upper bound D1 norm by this, right? Which is from the assumption, right? Okay. Then next you can do regroupings. Now you can regroup in terms, and they are two terms. You can regroup in the terms with eta 1 and regroup in terms with eta 1 times x1 norm. Okay, so C1 is the coefficient that combine D2A, because here is eta, this is eta 1 norm, right? So D2A goes to C1, and D2B, which is the product of eta 1 norm and x1 norm, goes to here. Okay. And eta 1 and times eta 2 is in here. You just keep it because there can be a cross term. And this is known, so we can keep it. Okay. And S2 is measurable, eta 1 is measurable, right? And every term here is known, so you can keep it. Okay. And eta 1 norm times D1A goes to here. Eta 1 norm, x1 norm times D1B goes to here. Okay. So basically there are two groups that this group and this group need to be regroupings. Okay. And otherwise you just keep it. Okay, which could be nonlinear terms, could be cross terms, could be some other good terms. Okay, now you can substitute the virtual control x3d here. Okay, and you can see that the good terms pop out, right? Here you have minus k1 eta 1 squared and some other good terms. Next, you can cancel out these cross terms. Okay, and this could be a cross term that can be canceled out with another subsystem, with system 1 over system 3. Okay, and here are the good terms, and this could be cross terms. Okay, next, you complete the square with these bad terms. You complete the square with these bad terms, and this term goes here, this term goes to here, this term goes to here, and I think there's some constant here. Okay, some positive constant here after you completing the squares. And next, you can do Young's inequality to upper bound this term by some x1 norm square and eta 1 norm square and x1 norm squares. Okay, and these are bad terms, but it can combine. These bad terms can combine with eta 1 norm square can combine with this k1 eta 1 square. And that's the reason we do Young inequality. So it's a bad term, right? And you can combine with this feedback K1 term, K1 eta 1 squared plus okay. So the price to pay is you need to choose K1 greater than 1 over 2, right? And this term become negative, okay? So it's still good. So you can deal with some bad terms, either using Young's inequality or complete squares, okay? Depend on the structures, 听懂吗? Here is only one, the power, only eta 1, right? Here you can, because it's the product of two norms, you can use Young inequality to create square terms. And square term can combine with another square terms, okay? But if there's no product, just eta 1 norm, then you can complete the square with some good terms. That's the difference, okay? If it's just eta 1 norm, there's no way you can convert this into a square term. There's no way, right? But if it's taking the product with some other variable, eta 1 is the variable for second system, right? Second system. X1 is the variable for the first system, right? Then you can do Young's inequality to create these square terms. And that goes to different systems, combined with the good terms. 听懂吗? Okay. So let's do a quick recap. So here, what I do is just substitute the open loop dynamics. Okay, do the upper bound on the disturbances. Okay, substitute x2d dot. Okay, which is this. And x1 dot is the dynamics here. And you see that here's another disturbance. And these disturbances need to be upper bounded. So we further upper bound this equation by this. Okay, d1 times eta 1 can be further bounded by this. And d1 norm is upper bounded by another constant plus times the x1 norm. Okay, that's given by the dynamic, by the problem, right? That's given by the problem is trying to solve, right? So here, you just substitute or upper bound and substitute the upper bound over the disturbances. That's it, right? We haven't regrouping any stuff. Okay, and again we do okay, upper bound. This is the same. And here now we regrouping terms. Okay, after you take care of every disturbances, do the upper bounds, then you can do regroupings, right? Regrouping either eta 1 norm or eta 1 norm times another variable norms. Okay, because we know we can take care of this by using Young's inequalities that create squared plus square terms, goes to different systems. And this one can be taken care by completing the squares, right? And here might be cross terms. So take care by complete the squares. And this one, we upper bounded by Young's inequalities. Okay, and the square term goes to different systems, combined with good terms. Combined with good terms, eta 1 here, okay? And system 3, following the same procedure, okay? Here's your control, it's a physical control. So you need to put feedback term in U, Huygens term in U, right? Huygens term is to deal with D3, so you need to create a label function, upper bound D3, upper bound these disturbances okay? And at that time, it become clear how you can design the control input to dominate the disturbances. And this is the feed-forward term, S3D, which is the time derivative of virtual control from the previous system, okay? And this guy could be very complicated because if you look at S3D, what's S3D? S3D is this. You need to take the time derivative of this guy and put in the controller on the next system, right? Right? S3D is very complicated and you need to take one more time derivative, okay? You need to take one more time derivative and use U to compensate this term, okay? So that's why I did not write down what's U, because U is too complicated, okay? But procedure is the same, right? And here's feedback term, and eta 1 is the cross term to cancel out another cross term in the second system or first system. Nonlinear term and other cross terms. Okay, and finally you combine the three double functions from system 1, system 2, and system 3. You will see that it's a UB result. These are good terms and some constants. And these constants can be decreased by increasing control gains, Kn1, Kn3, Kn4. The question is this term was missing from here, okay? Because eta 1, x2, and times these constants, right? Everything in the bracket. So eta 1, d1, and here should be times the bracket of the three terms, right? But everything in here in this bracket is a constant. Do that? It's a constant. So we just put a constant here, okay? And after you put a constant there, you put a constant here. That constant will go to here, right? That. So next, the constant will be here. And next, the only changes is you change the C1 and C2 here, okay? You increase C1 and C2 here because of the constant, the missing constant, okay? 所以基本上 the groupings remains the same because complete square. 对不对？故意这样写，就上到这边。